Now, let's get into the paper review. The headlines across the papers in Nigeria this morning. And we have columnist and social commentator Ayodele Adio with us in the studio. Ayodele, good morning.
Ayodele Adio, good morning.
Thank you for
It's nice to see you.
Same here.
Great.
Another pipeline
What's
issue.
a shame.
I'm sure you have something to say about that.
What a real shame. What a real shame. And, you know, you talked about how, you know, foreign countries oversee these installations. And it's very simple. If you talked about the vandalism that happened somewhere in Koko. Now the question is, if you monitor it on a computer system and you know that a vandal has attacked a pipeline in Koko, the question then would be, do you have enough security architecture in that area to moving at the speed of time to apprehend the people who have, you know, vandalized the property? So that's the real question. Do you have the national security spread and the response time, giving the level of equipments that these people have to be able to respond to such crimes?
And really, just like you said, I mean, there haven't really been reports of vandals, you know, being apprehended and, you know, prosecuted
over the time. But the point there is the NSCDC, when it comes to safety of pipelines and national assets and all of that, this falls directly
within their purview.
And
well, whether they are being deployed enough is another matter.
Nigerians assume that they were quite effective when we weren't hearing of vandalism and all of that. But this draws attention to some of these lapses. All right, let's start from the Punch newspaper this morning on the papers. Ex-Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade murdered. This story came as a shock to all Nigerians yesterday when it happened. He was on his way from his farm. Somewhere in Nasarawa State to Abuja, and this happened.
I mean, it's very sad, very sad. You know, that a general falls like that. My sympathy to his family, you know. But at the end of the day, just like Chido Onuma's new book, where he said we are all Biafrans, I think that we are all vulnerable, you know, to this security challenge in our country, high or mighty, you know, big or small. And except we fix it, we just might be the victim, you know, of our own incompetence, you know, at the end
and you can only hope that this will actually be investigated. I mean, so many questions are rising already. Who wants Alex Bade dead, you know, and why was his orderly not with him? His military orderly was not with him at the time. Of course, he was coming from his farm. Maybe it's the norm, you know, and of course he had this 3.9 billion naira fraud allegation, you know, that he was answering to. That EFCC actually closed in October. So many issues.
Above all, this draws attention to the issue of security. If generals, if military generals, remember we recall the situation in Jos just months ago, where a general was
General Alkali,
was killed.
So that's the real
point
issue.
It draws attention to if an army, if a military general can fall like this. Then what is the hope of all Nigerians?
That's the real problem. That's the real problem.
It's a sad one.
All right, let's move on. Blame the DSS police if the president can't present the budget today. That the National Assembly is saying this. Now, we know that the Parliamentary Staff Association has been, you know, protesting and said they were going on a warning strike and so on. But they gave an assurance that they would not disrupt the president's presentation of the budget.
Yeah, they did. And I mean, I wonder why, you know, that the issue of their salaries are still lingering. I mean, these people putting a lot of work, you know, to ensure. A lot of people do not even realize that most of the real hard work, the grit, you know, the real details of bill preparations and what have you are really done by the staff of the National Assembly. The senators or the members of representatives just give leadership at the end of the day.
And direction.
But they do the real hard work. So it's a shame that political appointees or political office holders are paid consistently without having been owed any salaries. But the real people, the civil servants who do the work, who break their bones every single day, are being owed.
Well, it's a symbol of what some describe as injustice, you know, in the system that continues to fuel things like corruption and what have you. Because when you don't pay people salaries, what do you expect them to do? How do you expect them to survive?
All right, let's just run through all this. A PDP governor, Kashamu Adebutu, disagree as appeal court sets aside Federal High Court order. Now, police accused of collecting 350,000 naira to cover up teenager's death probe. This happened somewhere in Lagos, where a woman is trying to get police attention to this. And New York Times obtained video showing Nigerian soldiers killing Shiites. All right, now the military has admitted that they actually killed about 6 of them when they tried to prevent them from moving ammunition sometime in Abuja in October. Nigeria can pay 30,000 naira minimum wage. Oshomole is saying that. Remember when he was governor of Edo State, even when it was 18,000, he was paying 25,000 in Edo State. So,
well, he's been calling for a Nigerian labor movement, you know, for the workers to actually fight for the interest of workers. You wonder what that really means. I mean, he's in a position to advise his party on what to do about the national.
Yeah, but when the money is not there, what can you really do? But I'm sorry, I'm wondering why the New York Times story is not lead on every newspaper and is not on every single belt.
Maybe it says
on TV
something.
And radio. I'm shocked, because if you saw the video that I saw, you will be as angry and alarmed, you know, as I am, because what we saw in those pictures should not be allowed to slide. And I think that the National Assembly has within their powers to lead a public hearing, a real investigation into why what we saw in that video happened the way it did. And it must never happen again, because it's an indictment to the government at the end of the day, because those videos I saw as that yesterday were circulated and debated in the international media, and it portrays a bad taste for the Nigerian government.
Especially,
we must deal with that.
With the amnesty,
exactly.
You know,
but when it comes to rules of engagement, the Nigerian army knows exactly and how to engage anyone based on the rules of engagement when it comes to civilian times or even at times of war. So it calls the question to the issue of the availability of rubber bullets and water cannons and all of that. Now, the point there is we've never really had that at the course of our, because protests and all of that are not necessarily part of
live ammunition.
So you use live ammunition straight. Yeah. But when the military is moving ammunition and they foresee a threat, one will expect, yes, why not? Clear the way. But the point there is, these are civilians. These are Nigerians. So at what level, at what point are you going to use, live ammunition against the citizen, even if they are protesting and all of that? These are the issues.
It's indefensible.
The subject of debate right there. To the nation now, federal government retains $60 benchmark as oil dips to $58. Gunmen kill ex-chief of defense staff Alex Bade. Driver also killed in Abuja Kefi Road attack. Air chief commiserates with family. Okay, this oil benchmark, the global oil price has continued to slide, and there are concerns that it may affect the 2019 budget.
Oh yeah, it will. And unfortunately, I think that the prices are even going to go lower, because if you look at the way international politics is swaying, there are chances, that these prices are going to go lower. Because, for instance, on the one hand, President Trump is pressuring the Saudis to continue to lower, the prices of crude, by pumping more. Oil into the market. And of course, the Saudis have no option, but to do that, to appease the Americans because of the issue that they found themselves in with the Khashoggi case. So I believe that going into the year, we're going to be dealing with low oil prices, and then we have to be ingenious with how we manage that situation.
And that ingenuity really should have started already.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, 488 billion naira states cash stock as lawmakers inflate claims. Of course, there's been this back and forth about
between the presidency and
what the states claim to have spent and what the National Assembly has approved. About double that figure, about 800 and something. Added to what the states are claiming.
It takes us back to the issue of padding.
It's a real issue.
All right, 5 held. But the thing is, this might even discourage states from going ahead, especially states like Lagos, for example, who would use their own, funds and resources to fix federal roads, expecting that the federal government will reimburse when the time comes.
Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know the details of the communication channels on how you communicate, what you spent to construct the road or build a bridge in your state to the federal government. But I expect that if you followed, basic procurement laws in your own state to finish or execute any project, it should be as transparent as possible. So much so that from the click of a button, whether it's at the presidency or at the National Assembly, you can easily track what was spent and it can be easily reconciled.
Exactly.
All right.
In fact, before such contracts or projects are carried out, the National Assembly or the Ministry of Works has a delegation they send, a committee they send to sit with you to ascertain and also to verify the cost of everything they're doing, the real values, ascertain the value of it.
Okay, moving on. NBA chief Usoro docked for alleged 1.4 billion naira fraud, and that's the NBA chief, the present NBA chief right there.
I'm not sure the language that is being used when you say 1.4 billion naira for. I'm not really sure of the language, because the issue in contention is the fees that were paid to this NBA chief by a certain state government for services rendered. Now, I don't know why you're going to cast the story as fraud, because it's not yet determined in court whether that was fraud.
It's before the courts already. 5 held with human parts. Ambode launches health insurance scheme. Of course, he's acknowledged that it may be difficult, but he's committed to it. Man U sack Mourinho. Huge news.
Yeah, it's been huge news. Very big one across
but there's one person that would really be happy about this one.
Well,
Pogba.
The Sun, Daily Sun is our next paper now. 2019 polls, INEC raises fears over security. U.S. calls for violence-free polls. You remember the projection or the likely forecast that there will be violence in over about 18 or 17 or 18 states across Nigeria over 2019 election.
I mean, it's also a real concern because even without elections, we're seeing pockets and pockets of violence here and there, and it's been very difficult for the police to keep the peace, generally across the country. And then you're going to have an elections where what we've seen in recent elections where you had to deploy soldiers to also, help them get peace. How are you going to stretch the military come 2019 when you have them, you want to have them in 36 states, you want to keep them at the battlefield in the northeast, so it's going to be, it's going to be a real problem.
And that's why you have the peace accord, which unfortunately some of the presidential candidates of the parties have, outright refused to be a part of.
It's a piece of paper.
Okay, not what.
I mean, the fact that you sign, which is good in itself, but the fact that you sign a piece of paper doesn't stop the security agencies from doing their own job, to keep the peace at the end of the day.
But it's a way of demonstrating that, yes,
I'm ready to abide by the rules and regulation and accept the outcomes.
Absolutely.
Federal government treating Igbos like slaves. Nwodo is saying this. Okay. That's an opinion. 2019 budget presentation. Senate House awaits Buhari, and ex-CDS Alex Bade is shot dead. And travel ban, Uzodinma replies presidential panel, and 487.8 billion naira refund to states. Buhari accuses National Assembly of padding and claims lawmakers inserted 890.5 million naira. Gives conditions for disbursement. Senate keeps mum on that. Okay.
All right, to the vanguard. FG facing serious financial challenges. Ben Akabueze, that's a budget boss, revealing there, says budgeted revenue performing at 36% as unremitted funds hit 2.8 trillion naira. Budget 2019 benchmark at $60 a barrel as oil price drops to $57 per barrel. Okay, let's leave that one. This one is exciting. If you want freedom, learn vulcanizing. Tinubu mocks Agbaje. Of course, Jimmy Agbaje, the PDP governorship candidate in Lagos, has been,
running on the freedom message. And it was an interesting
saying
jab from
Pharaoh let
and it was an interesting
saying
jab from
Pharaoh let my people go. I wonder who he's referring to as Pharaoh. I mean,
and there was a reply that Lagos is now under bondage.
And
then the reply is, if you want freedom, you know how artisans go to you know, go for apprenticeship and all of that. And after they are done, they're given freedom.
Yes. All right, let's move on. The Daily Trust is our last paper now. Ex-defense chief body killed in ambush. Okay. This is giving a different perspective, talking about an ambush. But DSS, police take over National Assembly as Buhari presents budget today. We expect that to go down from around 10 a.m. this morning. Federal government bans us from traveling on newspaper pages. Okay. And 236,000 IDPs return home in Benue, Nasarawa, and Taraba states. Well, this should be cheering news, but however, there should be much assurance as to the safety of their lives as they go back to their homes. Nigeria to host D8 Health Social Protection Program, CBN, NNPC, others to be captured in national budget soon. DG budget is saying that SDP stake chairman aligned with Duke wants Ghana's candidature upturned. Okay, there has been controversies as Donald Duke, the presidential candidate of the SDP, was told to desist from parading himself as a candidate of the SDP. A lot of dramatic drama there coming up from...
Really dramatic drama.
It's dramatic drama.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. But just a quick one before we go. The DSS and the police did not overtake the National Assembly. So the way we cast headlines, I think it should be a little less sensational. They are not taking over the National Assembly. They're just there to provide security for... And when you say takeover, it looks like you have
captured the National Assembly. Exactly. It's just to provide, to ensure that there's adequate security ahead of... In fact, it's even common standard practice. The president is going anywhere, there has to be adequate security. It's not abnormal at all.
Exactly.
So
yes,
we have
to... So don't dramatize it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you again.
Thank you.